Today, we're going to dive into a single day back in 1943. It's the last day of school, and on the surface, it seems pretty simple, right? Just a story about summer vacation starting. But if you look a little closer, it's actually this incredible tutorial on what it means to be a genuinely supportive friend, especially when the world feels like it's spinning out of control.
So, our story kicks off with this really powerful image. It's a boy, Leo, and he's holding a V-mail from his dad, who's a soldier fighting across the Atlantic. I mean, think about it. This flimsy piece of paper is his entire lifeline. It's a fragile link to the father he misses so much. It's full of hope, sure, but it also just screams of the massive, quiet distance of a world at war.
And the setting here is absolutely crucial. It's Friday, June 11th, 1943. Everything, and I mean everything, is in transition. On the one hand, you've got the school year ending, which promises this unstructured, amazing freedom of summer. But hanging over all of that is the backdrop of World War II, a much, much bigger transition with no clear end in sight.
You can almost feel it, can't you? That heavy, humid air. As Leo and his friends, Wayne and Buddy, are walking to school, the whole atmosphere feels different. It's buzzing, with cicadas and this kid-like giddiness. It's that exact moment you can feel one chapter closing and a totally new one about to begin.
Okay, and this is where we start to see how the war is hitting each of these boys in a totally different way. As they're walking, they start sharing news from the front lines, but the kind of news they're getting, well, it's not the same at all. And it sets up this really stark contrast between a kind of abstract hope and a very painful reality.
Just for some context, that letter Leo is holding is a V-mail. Now, this was amazing technology for its time. They would literally photograph letters, shrink them down to film, and then reprint them overseas to save cargo space. But just think about what that means for a second. His father's actual handwriting, his words, were shrunk down, shipped as a negative, and then brought back to life. It shows you both the incredible desire to connect and just how fragile that connection really was.
In his letter, Leo's dad talks about a lighthouse beam he remembers, and he compares it to his compass. What a beautiful, powerful metaphor, right? For Leo, this letter is a signal. It's this steady, unwavering light coming from a really distant shore. It's a promise, yeah, but it's a pretty abstract one.
So while Leo is clinging to this signal, his friend Buddy shares some very different news. His brother's home, for good. This contrast is just, wow. Leo's got a fragile piece of paper, a sliver of his dad. Buddy gets his actual brother back. But the reason why is just awful. He was injured. So one boy is dealing with his symbol of hope, while the other is staring at the physical scars of war. And this is the part that just hangs in the air, the unspoken truth. Home for good isn't some happy victory parade. Wayne recalls his parents explaining the harsh reality of it. You only get sent home permanently if you're too wounded to go back to the fight. So Buddy's good news carries this really heavy, unspoken burden.
All right, let's shift scenes. We're in the school cafeteria now. It is pure, joyful chaos. The final bell is about to ring, and the energy is just electric. And it's the perfect backdrop for what's about to happen. Because right in the middle of all this noise, we find our main case study. The source material really paints a picture here. You've got kids trading comics, everybody is signing each other's notebooks, there are these spontaneous, off-key chants of school is out, everyone is just swept up in the excitement. The promise of summer is so real you can taste it. Everyone, that is, except for one person.
And there he is, Blaine. He's not part of the happy chaos. In fact, he's doing the opposite. He's creating this tiny, quiet island of perfect order. But the story doesn't frame his solitude as some kind of character flaw. It's just the reality for someone who feels completely out of sync with the mood of the room. For him, the end of school feels more like an ending than a beginning.
The interaction that happens next, this is what this whole thing is really about. It's a masterclass in how to offer real, effective support. And we're going to break it down step by step, showing how it moves from just being casual to being something truly concrete. Now, to really get what happens next, you have to get Blaine's perspective. The guy loves school, the routine, the schedule, the fact that you know where you're supposed to be. He has friends for sure, but he has no idea where he fits in once those school doors close for the summer. So his problem isn't loneliness, it's the sudden, jarring absence of a framework for his life. So how do the boys solve this? Well, here's the playbook. First, Leo actually notices Blaine and makes a point to go over to him. That's step one. Step two, he doesn't try to cheer him up or dismiss his feelings. He validates them. He says, hey, I'm going to miss this place too. That's empathy. But they don't stop there, and this is key. Most of us would just say, you can hang out with us, and leave it at that. But they go to steps 3 and 4. Wayne gives them a specific pathway. Talk to our mutual friend, Michael Cormier, about joining the Scouts. And then Buddy provides a direct lifeline. He writes down his actual home phone number. See? These aren't vague gestures. They're concrete, actionable tools.
And this is the payoff. Blaine's quiet response says everything you need to know. I know. You always do. This tells us it's not a one-time thing. It reveals a whole history of reliability. Blaine knows without a doubt that they will always keep a spot open for him. That consistency is the bedrock of real trust.
Okay, so let's tie these two big threads together. On one side, you have Leo, who's dealing with the distant, huge uncertainty of his father's safety. On the other, you've got Blaine, facing the immediate uncertainty of a long, potentially lonely summer. The story gives us two very different kinds of support.
And this really gets to the heart of it all. Leo has the signal, that fragile V-mail, an abstract promise from a father an ocean away. It's so important, but it isn't tangible. What the boys give Blaine is the anchor, a phone number scribbled in a notebook, a concrete plan from a friend sitting right across the table. And, in times of deep uncertainty, while a distant signal gives us hope, it's the nearby anchor that gives us real, actual stability.
So that leaves us with this final question. What the story seems to suggest is that while we all need those distant signals of hope to look forward to, it's the anchors, those reliable, tangible acts of support from the people right next to us that truly keep us grounded. When things feel unsteady for you, which one do you find you really need? A distant signal or a nearby anchor?